who wear white shoes in their fraternities. And they've had to retract that in Raw Story and a bunch of other publications. The reason I reopened this hour before we get into net censorship, the globalists want to censor us off the internet so we can't respond when they put out outrageous lies. But imagine, they've confirmed Koskoff and Koskoff, the most powerful firm in Connecticut, Democrats, former federal prosecutors appointed by Democrats, brought forward a transcript of unknown provenance, but Robert Barnes, constitutional lawyer, believes he knows who, so we've caught him before, and entered into the record for the national news. Who says white shoe boy? The term's never been used. White shoe boy is known in the vernacular in Connecticut, meaning elites from Yale, and is the differential, not Jewish or Semitic, but Anglo-Saxon. I mean, this is unbelievable.
I mean, white shoes, old school country club, the kind of people that were anti-Semitic historically. That your old sort of, literally it meant the sort of white shoe law firms that held themselves out as being prestigious, as being of a certain.
And isn't that a perfect inversion, though?
Oh, completely. It's no one would ever say white Jew boy. That's not a common phrase. That doesn't make any sense. Every single person who heard the broadcast, watched the broadcast, knew it meant white shoe. And the lawyer it was being discussed about is not Jewish at all. I mean, none of it made any sense in terms of what the falsification of the transcript was. And the people who tried to run fake news stories knew that, corrected themselves quickly when they were called on the carpet for it. So the question is, how did this fake transcript get into the court record? Where did it come from? Because later the law firms also corrected themselves.
Where did the child porn come from sent to our servers?
There's no question that there's an effort, an onslaught of people whose interest is outside of the legal environment. This isn't necessarily the lawyers or the court actors or others, but there's been an effort in the press, there's been an effort by political adversaries to target you in a discriminate and disparate way. There's no question that's the case. There's no other way to describe it or define it. You look at what's happened in terms of hacking attempts. You look at what's happened in the bogus emails that were being sent. You look at what happened in attempts to entrap, attempts to set up. All of them fit a similar pattern of behavior. And it's where the left is going these days, where they deliberately send false emails or false information or put false comments, fake comments on websites to try to make it look like the audience is threatening someone.
And by the way, they admit they're doing this.
Yeah, I know. In fact, they brag about it. I mean, that's where you see, you saw reporters who went after Tucker Carlson. You saw other reporters who've gone after Steven Crowder. All of them brag about how they want to deplatform people. Their goal is to deplatform people, and part of that deplatforming is defaming them.
Yeah. All right, and exactly. And the reason I brought myself up is because I'm sick of hearing about this like you are. The tricks are going to get dirtier. They're getting more desperate. Now, let's shift gears to the big enchilada. So much world news to get to, a bunch of other guests coming on, but I'm so glad that Mr. Barnes is here, our chief legal counsel, working on some of our counter offenses that are being announced the next few weeks. Because the best defense is good offense, but that'll be unveiled in the next week or so while he's in studio. How do you quantify, recap how big this Google is? Am I right? This is blood in the water, a Death Star being blown up level event. You mean that as a political allegory, not literally? That they've been caught with their head of censorship saying, screw Congress, we're going to do it anyways. We'll stop Trump from being reelected. We're censoring everyone because that's fair. Using Orwellian terms, they've lost 130-something billion. The other companies are hemorrhaging out, but they can't stop. Drudge's top link to it. Fox News still not covering Project Veritas Google bombshell. That's linked to the drudgereport.com article where Google has taken down the video showing their chief executive over censorship, admitting the censorship arrogantly. I mean, as a guy that goes on the offense and the defense, as a defense lawyer and as a litigant, am I wrong saying this is a holy grail video for Project Veritas?
If it wasn't a holy grail video, you wouldn't have Google wouldn't have censored it. You wouldn't have Google removing it from YouTube after it had 1 million views in less than 24 hours. You wouldn't have mainstream
and 99% likes.
Exactly. And you wouldn't have mainstream media refusing to cover it. You had New York Times reporters making embarrassing fools of themselves on social media yesterday, including on Twitter, exposing how little tech knowledge they had. They were basically saying, oh, this couldn't be what this says it is, right? And you had a bunch of software engineers responding.
That's not an algorithm. It's people going in and deleting and blocking things.
Precisely. It's manipulating the algorithm for the purposes of creating a fake news story, which, by the way, is its own form of libel. Years ago, a major lawyer at Skadden Arps wrote a law review article, and they represent and do a lot of work for Google, admitting that a potential source of Google's liability